let's start with the first question. What does the word meditation mean? Now, the word meditation, if you research the symbol in Tibetan, the word literally means to become familiar with. Now, familiarization means then if 95% of who you are by the time you're 35 years old is a set of hardwired thoughts, unconscious automatic habits and behaviors, and reflexive emotional reactions that define our personality. That means 95% of who we are typically runs in an unconscious or subconscious program. Then the first start to change is becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts, beginning to become aware of your automatic actions and behaviors. And when you begin to notice how you're feeling, as you're beginning to observe and become familiar with those states of mind and body, you are now no longer the program living unconsciously. Now you're becoming conscious of your unconscious self. So think about this. Many people quit in their meditation practice because they don't think they can control their mind. Well, if you're thinking 60 to 70,000 thoughts in one day, the majority of those thoughts are the same thoughts as the day before. And they're hardwired automatic attitudes and thoughts that are typically happening behind the scenes of your awareness. Thoughts like, I'll never change, it's too hard, my life isn't very good, I'll never find love in my life, I'll never find the right job. These are the thoughts that people think constantly every day. So then when those thoughts start coming to the surface in their meditation practice, the moment they start realizing they can't control those thoughts, they give up. And they buy into the belief that they're not very good at meditation. But let's start by framing this a little differently. The moment you become conscious of those unconscious thoughts, and you decide not to put your attention and your energy behind them, that's a victory. In other words, the moment you start noticing those thoughts, and instead of reacting to them, just observing them, you are beginning to know thyself. If you notice then in your meditation practice that your body is in a program and it's busy every single day doing a lot of things, and it wants to get up and go do something, it wants to begin to habituate on autopilot, and you become aware that your body wants to do that. And instead of responding to the body as the mind and getting up and quitting, if you can settle it back down into the present moment, that's a victory as well, because you're saying then that your body is no longer the mind, you're the mind, and those victories add up. Every time you work on overcoming some aspect of your old personality, there's a liberation of energy. And we've measured this on students all around the world, because as they keep returning the body back into the present moment, the body is the servant to the mind, and just like training any animal, sooner or later it's going to acquiesce. And when it does, there is a liberation of energy. And that's available energy for you to use to heal. That's available energy for you to begin to create a new future. So then we said in the last episode that the process of change is breaking the habit of the old self and reinventing the new self. It's pruning synaptic connections and sprouting new connections. So it makes sense then, if you are going to transition from the old self to the new self, and you decide, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain? And you begin to put all of your energy in installing those thoughts neurologically in your brain. The act of firing and wiring over and over again begins to assemble new neurological networks. Now, neural networks are gangs of neurons that have been fired and wired together that relate to a thought, a memory, a behavior. the body begins to assemble new circuits, so it becomes more automatic. So it makes sense then if you keep firing and wiring those thoughts and they begin to assemble into automatic neurological networks, and you do it over and over again, those thoughts are going to begin to become familiar to you. Then the thought in your mind literally becomes the experience, and experience enriches the brain. Now, let's look at another way to understand meditation. If we know that we're living in a state of the familiar past, or we're living in the state of the predictable future, and the familiar past represents the known, and the predictable future represents the known as well, and the sweet spot of the generous present moment represents the unknown, then in order for us to truly begin to make significant changes where our body isn't influencing our mind, where our environment isn't controlling our feelings and our thoughts, then it makes sense then that the first step that we have to use in order to meditate is to sit our bodies down and close our eyes and disconnect from everything known in our outer environment. Less sensory information is coming into the brain. Now, all of a sudden, your inner world starts becoming more real than your outer world. If you can sit your body down and, like training that animal, saying to your body, you stay. I'm going to feed you. You can check your emails, you can check your texts, you can post anything on Facebook, you're gonna get a shower, you're gonna get a cup of coffee, but right now, you're no longer the mind, I'm the mind. Your body's in a program, and where you place your attention is where you place your energy. And the moment you're sitting in your meditation and you start putting your attention on the emotions, familiar emotions that are connected to the past, the moment you start thinking about those memories and feeling those emotions, it makes sense then that you're siphoning your attention and energy out of the present moment into the past. And if you're sitting there thinking about the phone calls you have to make, the meetings you have to go to, the shopping list you have to get to, those are all known things in your predictable future reality. And every time you put your attention on some predictable future, you're siphoning energy out of the present moment into the predictable future. And now your energy is completely commingled with that line of time. So then when you become aware that your attention is on those emotions, and you become aware and return your attention back to the present moment, you're disinvesting your attention and energy out of your past present reality, and you're calling it back to you. Every time you do that, it's a victory, and those victories add up.